This is the Audi Q8 e-tron, arguably the best premium electric car in India, and it's essentially the facelift of the e-tron, and now the Q8 prefix has been assigned to it. This car also won the Faster Electric Car of the Year award 2 years back, and it's astounding in terms of what it can do. It's really practical. It's a proper SUV, and it really is amazingly practical for an electric car. Now, for the facelifted version, there are a slew of changes. There are many changes that have been incorporated in this car, not just in terms of the cosmetic enhancements, but also in terms of the battery, the performance, the way this car drives, and I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about this amazing car. And I can say this with confidence before I start this review, that this is one of the best electric cars, one of the most practical electric cars that you can buy in the country today. Now, the face of this car is where the most amount of changes have been incorporated, and the most amazing thing is that the Audi grille now is a two-dimensional unit. It's not a three-dimensional raised metallic unit that you generally see in Audi cars. It's a very futuristic, very printed kind of a 2D logo, and it's projected upon by a light which is hidden very neatly under this part of the grille. Also, the grille itself is now all new. It's inverted, and unlike the vertical and horizontal lines that mark the grille on the earlier version, now it's much cleaner and has a honeycomb kind of a shape. Apart from that, the shape of the headlights is pretty much the same, but the grille itself is by a dark grey surround. It gets a 360-degree camera, gets front parking sensors, and the lower part of the car has also seen some change. It also gets this skid plate. Overall, it looks much more futuristic, and while during the day it looks pretty good, it's during the night when this car really comes into its own, and when the projector light falls on the Audi logo, it really looks like it's from the 22nd century. As an option, you can also go for the digital matrix LED lighting from Audi, which has over 1 million micro reflectors, and it's one of the most advanced lighting technologies anywhere in the world. So in terms of lighting, the Audi really aces it. And whether it's a vehicle coming from the opposite direction, or whether you're trailing a vehicle, or there is an obstruction on the road, this car has the ability to make sure that you're not bothering anyone, that you're not dazzling anyone, and still you get the best lighting possible. Before we move to the side where not much has changed, you do well to notice these swipe out blinkers that really make it look amazing during the night. Let's have a look at the profile of this car now. Now, despite being a very high range, high quality, high tech electric car, if you have a look at the Audi Q8 e-tron, just like the e-tron, it looks like a regulation SUV. It's not too much into the future, and that was by design, because Audi always wanted it to look like a normal car which does normal things and doesn't give you range anxiety. And on the side, they have not changed much. The profile of the car is more or less the same. The wheels are new. These are 20 inches. The styling of the wheels is new. You get these red calipers up front and at the rear. Both get discs with red calipers, 255 section tires for fantastic grip. This car comes with Audi Quattro, and it also comes with 7 driving modes. Now, one amazing thing about the Audi e-tron is that it gets these charging panels on both the ends. So no matter which side the charging socket or the charging cable is, you don't have to bother. You just have to drive in, and you have these panels on both the sides, and you can just have your car charge, and once you're done, you can put it back in place. Now, another great thing is that while the ground clearance here is 176 mm, it can go up by as much as 50 mm. So if you raise it, it'll go 50 mm up, and if you are in dynamic mode, it'll go down from 176 mm by 13 mm. Furthermore, if you're driving at 140 kilometers per hour or more, it'll go further down by 13 mm. So 176 minus 26 mm or plus 50 mm. So that's a very wide range that this car can go up or down by, thanks to the air suspension that it comes loaded with. Apart from that, this applique here is new, but the profile of the car is more or less the same. There's no change. It gets the same satin silver roof rails, shark fin antenna, and a beautiful big 2-pane panoramic sunroof, which is amazing. Now, at the rear, there are not many changes. The tail lamp design is more or less the same. It's a connected LED design, swipe out blinkers, and since it now gets the Q8 badging, you have the Q8 lettering here, and the lower bumper here along with the scuff plates are very much in place. So that essentially is the big difference. Apart from that, the rear of the car has not changed much. It obviously comes with an electric tailgate, and it really has a ton of space in the form of this massive boot. This is 569 liters of boot space, and it literally can help you move houses. But if you want to go with the sportback or the sexier version of this car, you'll have 528 liters of boot space. Now, both the cars, in terms of their weight, in terms of their performance, are more or less the same, but since the sportback has lower coefficient of drag, it gets slightly higher range. Now the illumination in LED form is here and on the other side as well, and you also get this parcel tray which can be engaged or disengaged so easily. And if you think that 569 liters of boot space is not enough, you can really drop down the back seat in 60-40 proportion to make for more space. Now you also have this elastic sheet here along with some hooks to prevent your stuff from rolling around. And if you pop open this tray, you will see that there is a space saver spare with a maximum speed marking of 80 kilometers per hour, and then there is some more space to spare here. So that's what you have underneath. It doesn't come with a full-sized, fully replaceable spare wheel, but this unit will limp you back to safety if you have a flat anywhere. But if you really think that this boot space is still not enough for you, the Audi Q8 e-tron has another trick up its sleeve. But before we get to that, it also comes with the leg swipe function so that you can open the boot in a hands-free fashion. Now, while the boot or the trunk is generous enough, the front trunk or the frunk also has a reasonable amount of space, and while it has this onboard charger here, you have 62 liters of space here to put maybe your laptop or a haversack or whatever else you may want to put here, although this place is best occupied by the company supplied charger. Now this here is the other panel for charging, and there have been significant improvement in terms of the battery pack of this car. This one has a bigger battery pack, the range has improved. Not just that, the charging times have also remained the same more or less. So while the earlier car had a 95 kilowatt hour of battery pack, this one has 114 kilowatt hour of a battery pack, which is one of the highest in the country. The range as per WLTP cycle for the Sportback version is 600 kilometers, while for this one is 582 kilometers. Now in the real world, you would want to take 20% off that number, and in that sense, this car is capable of doing anywhere from 480 to 500 kilometers on the road. The range is an improvement of over 32% as compared to the previous e-tron. Now while the battery pack is bigger, this car can now be charged on a 170 kilowatt charger, unlike the 150 kilowatt charger on the previous car, which means that the charging times of 20 to 80% in 26 minutes and 10 to 80% in 31 minutes are more or less the same. So the charging time has not increased, although the battery pack size has increased, and it can now be charged with a more powerful 170 kilowatt charger. Talking about AC charging, if you charge it from an 11 kilowatt charger, it will take 8.5 hours, and if you charge it on a 22 kilowatt charger, it will take 4.5 hours. This car gets a comfort access key, and it gets a lock, unlock and boot release button, and this e-tron branding here. And there are some very interesting details like this Audi and Q8 e-tron Quattro badging on the B pillar. So that really adds a touch of exclusivity. And of course, having the comfort access key means that you don't really have to pull out the key from your pocket. And once you open the door, you will be welcomed by what can arguably be considered one of the most high-tech, luxurious and high-quality cabins in this car's class. It really is a 22nd century kind of a cabin and really looks a class apart. Now this car gets a top of the line 16 speaker, 15 amplifier, 705 watt Bang & Olufsen system, which really rocks. Is it the best system that I've heard? No, but it is one of the best. And all of these materials here are really high quality. You can have these soft to touch materials in leatherette or leather, Valcona or Milano leather, whatever you like. This entire cabin is totally customizable. You can have it in different trims, different wood inserts, different leathers, different colors. So that is all up to you. There are a whole variety of color palettes and materials to choose from. All of the other materials on the door are also soft to touch, so there are no low quality materials here at all. And these LED strips that you see here can be lit in 30 different colors, so that too lends a touch of class to the cabin. It comes with two-way memory function. And also have a look at this cavernous bottle holder, which is good for a 1.5 or even 2 liter water bottle. And of course, both the driver's and passenger seat are electrically operated, and they also come with four-way lumbar support. However, the passenger seat does not have a memory function, and it is also not required, I think. Now, optionally, you can have seat ventilation, seat heating, seat massage. All of these things will be offered in various different trims. What features will be offered in what trim will be announced by Audi during the time of the launch. Steering wheel, electrically operated. I really love that feature. And you have this little crevice here where you can store your wallet or cell phone. It comes with all-weather lighting and rear fog lamps as well. And looking at this cabin, you do feel that you're sitting in a car which is a cut above this Virtual Cockpit Plus. These two screens with haptic feedback. The resolution of this screen as well as these two screens makes it look like one of the most high-tech, high-quality cars in its segment. And not just that, even this dashboard has been designed in a beautiful manner. All of these materials here are soft to touch, and it has a very beautiful, very angular, very geometric 3D shape to it. So these materials are soft to touch. This open pore wood looks fantastic. And you can have this wood in various different colors and trims. You can also have it in aluminum. And the shapes here are simply amazing. It really makes you feel like you're sitting in a car which is from the next age or generation. Although I would have wanted this glove box to be ventilated or cooled, it's not. But the material inside is very soft to touch and feels very, very nice. Now let's have a look at this massive panoramic sunroof. And of course, it's a one-touch operation. It's a two-pane unit, and the first pane is until here, so the ventilation can happen only when this pane moves all the way back, which can be done using this button here. And that's how the roof moves. And to bring it back, you just have to press it once more. Both driver and passenger sun visors come with vanity mirrors and illumination. The car gets auto dimming IRVMs. You get adjustable seat belts. And of course, you get as many as 7 modes to choose from for driving. So off-road, all-road, efficiency, comfort, auto, dynamic and individual modes. And within the individual mode, you can change the drive system to efficient balance, dynamic suspension, steering, everything can be tuned to your liking. Now this part here is meant primarily for climate control, and this probably is not the top of the line variant, because on that we'll also have massage function, etc. out here. But here you have the climate control functions, and here by pressing this button you'll get to know how much charge is left, and you can turn this screen off using this button, and this is for the hill descent control. Now this car also gets one of the best 360-degree cameras, and by just swiping this button here you'll get to see a lot of options, and you can choose from what view you want: the front two wheels, the rear two wheels, the front two wheels, the rear view, the wide rear view, or the top view where you can really move the car around, or the front view, or the narrow front view, or a 3D view where you can really have a look around the car whichever way you like. Now this car also comes with wireless charging, and you have to slot your phone in like so to charge it wirelessly. And this section is also called the phone box, because using the car's antennas it enhances the cell phone reception inside the cabin. It has this cigarette lighter and a 12-volt power socket, and it also gets this little crevice which you can use to store your wallet or cell phone. It's concealed under this tambour door, and you also can convert this into a twin cup holder by flipping these panels up like so. Now you have two Type-C USB sockets right here, and apart from that you also have this armrest which is height adjustable like so, and you can slide it forward and aft, and you also have a lot of space underneath it. Since this car has this cigarette lighter, it also comes with this ashtray, but I'm pretty sure you can just chuck it out and use it as a utility storage space. Now the drive selector here is also pretty unique, and just have a look at it, how high quality and beautifully made this is. This is all leather, and you can choose from the drive modes by just flicking this panel like so. Put it in park by pressing this button, and this is the electronic parking brake. Now, while it's not available on this specific variant, you'll also get Park Assist Plus, which can help you park the car all by itself. You'll also get a 4-zone climate control, so 2 zones for the front, 2 zones for the rear, and you can also choose from 2 different scents and 4 different intensities for the cabin. This car also gets lane departure warning, and that brings me to safety, where this car gets 8 airbags as standard. It also comes with anti-theft bolts, and if one of your wheels is loose, it will give you a warning. It also gets a direct tire pressure monitoring system, and by all means you can trust Audi to give you a 5-star rated safe car which you can always rely on while you're traveling with your family. So a very high-tech, high-quality, feature-packed, very comfortable front part of the cabin, which is befitting for a car which is so expensive and so advanced. I really love this cabin. I really think that this is one of the most advanced and one of the most comfortable and high-tech cabins in its class, but it's at the rear where most of you would be traveling. And let's get to the back seat and see how much space and comfort and features we have back there. Now, before we get to the back seat, you do well to see this Audi E-tron projection that will be welcoming you once you open the door. Now, despite this being such a big car, you'd be surprised to see that the seat height is not too high, so you really don't have to climb into the car. The entry is damn easy. Even for the shorter ones amongst you, it won't be a problem at all. And the height of the roof also enables even the taller ones amongst you to get inside without any problem. The quality of the materials, just like the front, is top-notch. No hard materials here. You have these blinds, and of course this LED strip with 30 color ambient lighting. All of these geometric shapes, these satin silvered finished inlays, all of these make the cabin look really beautiful from inside. And just look at the amount of thigh support that you have. You have insane amount of thigh supports. The recline angle is also pretty good, and the headroom here is also good enough for people who are up to 6 feet 2. I am 5 feet 10, and it's no problem whatsoever. As you can see, there is ample leg room, ample knee room, and ample shoulder room as well. There is not much of a transmission tunnel here as well, thanks to this being an electric car. And you actually can seat 3, although these kinds of luxury cars are meant for seating 2. It has 3 individual headrests though, which are adjustable, so that's a great thing. And it also gets a proper 3-point seat belt for the third passenger. It gets isofix child seat mounts, very well contoured side seats, so if you're sitting on one of the side seats, you would be comfortable even for really long journeys. And the air suspension on this car would ensure that you'll not feel any bump on the road. I'll talk about the ride quality of this car once we get to the driving part, but the comfort on this car is absolutely amazing. You get 2 separate zones of air conditioning at the rear, AC vents both on the pillars and at the center, so air conditioning won't be a problem. 2 Type-C USB sockets and another 12-volt power socket as well. And to finish things off, you also get this really wide armrest with 2 cup holders and some space under the armrest itself. Then you get these door handles with coat hooks and 2 separate reading lights as well. So the seating comfort is as good as it gets, and especially if I compare it with its rivals like the I-Pace or the iX, I really have to say that this car has the most comfortable seats, especially if you're talking about the premium electric SUV segment. Now, while you're driving an electric car, you generally have range anxiety, but the Audi Q8 e-tron is one car where you can really drive it for long hours, long distances without any range anxiety at all. So I've been driving this car since morning, and even now it's showing me a range of 375 kilometers. And that is after I idled it for a very long time because I had to do the interior shoot and I had to do the talk part and everything. What I'm trying to say here is that electric cars are getting more and more advanced, the range is getting extended, and the Audi Q8 e-tron is at the forefront of such cars at this point in time, especially if you talk about premium SUVs. So with a 600 kilometers of WLTP range, you can easily expect 480 to 500 kilometers of range. And with a new battery pack of 114 kilowatt hour, that's a range and capacity improvement of 32%. So the primary improvement has been in the range, but that's not just all. This car has also been improved in terms of its acceleration. So while the previous version used to do its 0 to 100 in 5.7 seconds, this car can do it in 0.1 seconds quicker. So this one does it 0 to 100 in 5.6 seconds, and it does feel really quick. Just a dab on the right pedal and it just shoots towards the horizon. It comes with a quattro, of course. It's an e-quattro where you have two motors, and the power or the torque is generally sent to the rear wheel. So in effect, if you have sufficient traction, the power will be sent to the rear wheels. And despite being a quattro, you cannot choose as to how you want the power to be sent to the four wheels. You cannot engage an all-wheel drive system. It senses if the wheels are losing traction and it juggles power between all four wheels accordingly. And apart from transferring the power to front and rear axles, it can also selectively apply brakes to individual wheels to further make the handling characteristics of this car impeccable. Now, quattro is really a legendary term. Audi have really established themselves with their quattro all-wheel drive system, and you can take this car out on certain surfaces where you have less traction and if you have to clear some obstacles. But understand that this is not an off-roader or a proper 4x4. But in terms of managing traction, like driving on snow roads or in wet conditions, the 255 section tires along with the fantastic quattro system will offer you amazing grip, especially for an SUV. Now, apart from the fact that this has better acceleration, better range, and it feels quicker and more solid from behind the wheel, there have been other improvements also. So the big improvement is done at the steering. The steering is now 10% quicker. So it responds 10% quicker to your steering inputs, which means that the car feels about 10% more agile. Apart from that, the body roll has also been controlled by about 10%, and 20% steering weight has been added to make it more feelsome and for it to give you more feedback, and all of that is very perceptible. So while the Audi e-tron was always a very comfortable, very reassuring and one of the nicest cars to drive in its segment, this one feels slightly more sporty. But more than anything else, what I've always been telling everyone is that the Audi e-tron and now the Audi Q8 e-tron is one of the most practical, one of the most comfortable, and one of the most calming cars to drive. If you're someone who wants to be driving with his family, or if you're someone who's not particularly in a rush, even if you are, this car has the capability to really drive you very fast. But what I'm trying to say here is that it's very comfortable. It's very tranquil from inside. It's unbelievably insulated from the outside world. It really feels like you are completely isolated, insulated from everything outside, and it really gobbles up everything that comes up its way. It can really travel fast. It can soak in undulations or bad surfaces really well. The air suspension on this car works incredibly well, and as I mentioned, the suspension height can be raised or reduced. You get 7 different driving modes to choose from. So as a car that you want to be using on a day-to-day basis, something which is very comfortable, something which is very practical, something which is very well suited for the Indian conditions, the Audi Q8 e-tron really presents itself as a very practical, very day-to-day use friendly car, especially in the Indian context. And that's why I'm such a big fan of this car. It doesn't want to be the fastest, or it doesn't want to be the sportiest. It does want to be the best at comfort, in terms of practicality, in terms of day-to-day use. And these are the qualities that a typical Indian customer generally requires. And with this incredible range of 600 kilometers, it really presents itself as an electric car, as a premium, comfortable electric car, a fast electric car, which can be used on a day-to-day basis by someone. So if you're in the market for a premium electric car that you can really use on a day-to-day basis, the Audi Q8 e-tron is really a phenomenal machine. Now, while the range by itself is fantastic, you can change the recuperation modes by using the paddle shifters. And right now, as you can see, I'm accelerating. And when I press this button, the charge has increased now. As the car is decelerating, it's getting more charge, now even more, and now even more. And you can reduce the level of recuperation by pressing the right pedal. So it has 3 different modes for recuperation. So regen levels can be increased or decreased using the paddle shifters. But when you use the brake pedal, the recuperation is at its maximum. So if you want to increase the range, if you're driving in a manner where you anticipate the traffic and you don't want to be applying the brakes, the charge or the recuperation is increased further, and you can really make this car go that little bit longer. All in all, it's a supremely comfortable car, and if I really have to complain, I can probably say that a car which is from this segment could probably have had an HUD which is not present here. But really, there is not much that I can complain about. ADAS is a feature which is available in a lot of really inexpensive cars, and as I've been saying over and over again, all of these premium German cars also need to come with ADAS systems now. This does come with lane keep assist, but it's not a full-fledged ADAS system. However, it does hold its composure very well, and when you press the pedal, especially in dynamic mode, it feels like a really nice car to drive, and the response from the throttle really changes. The steering gets more weight, the acceleration is more pronounced, and the discharge rate obviously is also increased. But if you really want to be driving this car fast, especially on our roads which have a lot of abuse to throw at you, it is very capable of it. All I'm trying to say here is that while it can be a very swift, very brisk car on the highways, it's not a car that wants to be hustled around. It's really a car that doesn't want to be chugged enthusiastically around corners, but overall it's a very fast, very quick, very comfortable and a very brisk car for our conditions. And if you want an all-round machine which can do a lot of things, this really is a standout proposition. Now, as I mentioned right at the outset, this is the best premium electric car that you can buy in India right now, especially if you want something which is practical and something that is essentially meant for your family. So in terms of the pricing of this car, the E-tron that's outgoing was about 1.25 crore rupees for its top of the line variant, and this one would be slightly more expensive. But if you compare it with the I-Pace and the BMW iX, the prices of those cars are also around that region, 1.24 to 1.3 lakh rupees. And if you're going for an electric premium SUV within that price bracket, I can really with all the confidence recommend that you can go ahead and take a test drive of this car. This is one of the best, most practical SUVs out there with the most amount of range, and it'll give you the most amount of bang for your buck. It's my personal favorite because of its practicality, its comfort and its usability in the Indian context. I really hope that this video was of some use to you. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe to Motoroids, and until next time, this is Amit Changani signing off. Rev hard, rev free and drive safe.